God bless you, fam. God bless you. I don't know what's going on with my voice. Whoa. How you doing tonight? This Coach Will coming at you. We're doing the Hebrews walk. And I'm on chapter 9. You see, I'm having voice problems, so I certainly won't be doing a lot of talking. I'm going to read out this complete Jewish Bible. Welcome. It is great you staying faithful to Christ. God said he wants you to get his word, want us to get his word in our heads, spend time with him. Hair on my fiber on my tongue. Look, without further ado, chapter 9. Now, the first covenant had both regulations for worship and the holy place here on earth. The tent was set up, the outer one, which is called the holy place, in it, the menorah, the table, and the bread of the presence. Behind the second paraket was a tent called the holiest place, which had the golden altar for burning incense and the Ark of the Covenant, entirely covered with gold. I don't know what's going on with my voice. In the ark were the gold jar containing the man, Aaron's rod that sprouted, and the stone tablets of the covenant. I didn't know that. Above it were the cherubim representing the Shekinah, casting their shadow on the lid of the ark. I got to check that out in the other chapter. What is cherubim? Hold on. Let me check this other Bible. It's New King James Version. I don't understand what's going on with my voice. It's a struggle. What verse was that? Verse 5 says, and above it were the cherubim of glory, overshadowing the mercy seat. Of these things we cannot now speak in detail. Six, with things so arranged, the Kohanim go into the outer tent all the time to discharge their duties, but only the Kohanim Haggadah enters the inner one. Kohanim Haggadah will be chief priests. Verse 6, now when these things have been thus prepared, time to perform the service. 8, the Holy Spirit indicated this, and the way into the first tabernacle was still standing. I wonder why I don't say. Let me read 6 here. Now, when these things have been thus prepared, the priest always went into the first part of the tabernacle performing the services. This 6 says, with things so arranged, the Kohanim, which is priests, go into the outer tent all the time to discharge their duties. 7 here says, but into the second part, the high priest went alone once a year, not without blood, which he offered for himself and for the people's sins committed in ignorance. 7 here says, but only the Kohen Haggadah, which is chief priest, enters the inner one, and he goes in only once a year, and he must always bring blood, which he offers both for himself and for the sins committed in ignorance by the people. But by this arrangement, the Ruach HaKodesh showed that so long as the first tent had standing, the way into the holiest place is still closed. This symbolizes the present age and indicates that the conscience of the person performing the service cannot be brought to the goal by, this key piece right here, by the gifts and sacrifices he offers. For they involve only food and drink and various ceremonial washings, regulations concerning the outward life imposed until the time for God to reshape the whole structure. So what he's telling us about where the offering of sacrifices fall short. Continues, and he entered not by means of blood of goats and calves. Oops. Verse 11. But when the Messiah appeared as Kohen Hagadol, chief priest, of the good things that are happening already, then through the greater and more perfect tent, which is not man-made, that it is not of this created world, he entered the holiest place once and for all. See that? That's the beauty of it right there. That's Jesus right there. And he entered not by means of the blood of goats and calves, but by means of his own blood, thus setting people free forever. There it is, fam. There it is. That's the good stuff right there. For if sprinkling ceremonial unclean persons with blood of goats and bulls and ashes of heifers restores their outward purity, we were talking about that, then how much more the blood of Messiah, who through the eternal Spirit offered himself to God as a sacrifice without blemish, will purify our conscience from works that he led to death. All right, that's what I'm talking about. That's the good news, fam. So that we can serve the living God. Verse 15, it is because of this death that he is mediator of a new covenant or will, because a death has occurred which sets people free from the transgressions committed under the first covenant. Those who have been called may receive the promised eternal inheritance. Those who have been called may receive the promised eternal inheritance. For where there is a will, there must necessarily be produced evidence of its maker's death. Since a will goes into effect only upon death, it never has force while its maker is still alive. Man, that's the magic mix right there, fam. It's the first time I ever heard a covenant referred to as a will. Let me see what it says in this book, 15. And for this reason, he is the mediator of the new covenant by means of death for the redemption of the transgression under the first covenant, that those who are called may receive the promise of eternal inheritance. So this actually gives us a little bit more detail. It says, man, calls a covenant a will. And then it goes in. What does 16 say here? For where there is a testament, there must also be necessity, be the death of the testator. In 16 here it says, for where there is a will, there must necessarily be produced evidence of its maker's death. Since a will goes into effect only upon death, it never has force while its maker is alive. That's powerful stuff. So he's telling you how the priest doing sacrifices is insufficient. Verse 18, this is why the first covenant too was inaugurated with blood. After Moshe had proclaimed every command of the Torah to all the people, he took the blood of the calves with some water and used scarlet wool and hyssop to sprinkle both the scroll itself and all the people. He said, this is the blood of the covenant which God has ordained you. Likewise, he sprinkled with the blood both the tent and all things used in the ceremony. In fact, according to the Torah, almost everything is purified with blood. Indeed, without the shedding of blood, there is no forgiveness of sins. Now, this is how the copies of the heavenly things had to be purified. But the heavenly things themselves require better sacrifices than these. For the Messiah has entered a holiest place, which is not man-made and merely a copy of the true one, but into heaven itself, in order to appear now on our behalf in the very presence of God. This explains it all right here, fam. Breaks it on down. Further, he did not enter heaven. Further, he did not enter heaven to offer himself over and over again. Man, breaks it down. Like the Kohen Hogadal, who entered the holiest place year after year with blood that is not his own. For then he would have to suffer death many times from the founding of the universe on. But as it is, he has appeared once at the end of the ages in order to do away with the sin through the sacrifice of himself. Just as human beings have to die once, but after this comes judgment. So also the Messiah, having been offered once to bear the sins of many, will appear a second time, not to deal with sin, but to deliver those who are eagerly awaiting him. This is a beautiful piece of work right here. This explains in detail. Anybody got any questions how this Jesus sacrifice works? There it is. Map it to what we call, I'm talking about people that's in doubt. The original sacrifice that God laid down maps it directly to it, one for one. Tell me, make a comment. I know you had to get some food and fruit out of that. Forgive my voice. Good night. Bendiga Baruch Shalom. Peace.